We pray for our fellow commissioner as he is not with us tonight, and we're glad that Randy is back here tonight. Help us with our decision making. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Babe, did she pray for my health while I was gone? Nope. I didn't think so.
Did I do what?
I didn't think you did.
Did I do what while he was coming?
Pray for his health.
Oh, I thought she said miss him. I'm also glad that Chuck is back tonight. I'm sorry Randy got me off my game already. Okay. So, we're going to get this right tonight, Quincy, and we're going to move into the first thing, approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda. A second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimous. Do I have any citizens to be heard? None. Okay. Awards and presentations. I'm going to ask Ms. Tammy Mason if she would please come up and give us an update on Keep Wakulla County Beautiful.
Here is handout.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go.
Thank you.
You like one, David?
Thank you.
You got one? Sure. Thank you. We have a few. Brandy, you were there.
I was there.
You were there.
All right, I'm Tammy Mason, Executive Director for Keep Wakulla County Beautiful. We just wanted to check in the end of the year, so I did this by the calendar year, but just wanted to give some overview. Over the last year, the numbers that we turned into the state, we had 1,021 volunteers in the last calendar year, and those volunteers had a cumulative hours of 3,516 and collected over 11 tons of trash. The handout that I gave you shows you those totals and some of the photos of the events, our current Adopt a Road list, and current board member list.
Got the road list. What is it? What's the yellow highlighting mean?
Those are the ones that I was working on their renewal.
Oh, one of them's Quincy.
And I've renewed
She
it.
got it.
She just hasn't deleted the color.
No, I
I'll
have
change it for you.
I know, yeah.
Those are the special ones. But during this past year, I've been fortunate to be serving on the Keep Florida Beautiful Affiliate Council and was also elected to the Keep Florida Beautiful Board of Directors in July. I think this helps gives Wakulla County and other rural areas that are kind of like us some good representation on some of the issues that are a little more unique, since a lot of the affiliates are from much larger cities throughout the state. Our board president, Steve Chrisman, President-elect Leslie Chrisman, and I had the pleasure of meeting with Jason Schoaf on behalf of Keep Florida Beautiful, since Keep Florida Beautiful as a whole did not make it into the state budget this year. Apparently it was an oversight, but we will not have any of their funding, which is about half of our funding for the year. So we are going to be doing the best we can with what we have to make sure we get all the programs still going and hold all the events that we want to hold. In February, we had the forest cleanup. It was February 27th. We had 85 volunteers for that. And gathered 6 tons of trash. In April, we had the Household Hazardous Waste Day, and we also did a tire amnesty day. We had 35 volunteers and served over 500 residents at that event. In June, we had a beautification project at Azalea Park where we landscaped around the sign. We had reached out to Cody at Parks and Facilities for ideas on what Keep Wakulla County Beautiful could assist with, and that was one of his suggestions. So we partnered with Weed Lady in Panacea and got some plants for her, and landscape timbers, mulch, and solar lighting. So I don't know if any of you had a chance to see that. July we had the second hazardous waste day due to several citizens that weren't served on the first day because we filled up and were unable to take any more. We only had about 253 residents that day. We believe the small number was probably close due to the close proximity of the dates and the information we had been giving out regarding the options for disposing of latex paint and oil at the landfill. We intended to hold another event also in October as usual, but our partnership with Jefferson County, we could only hold 2 during their fiscal year, so that wasn't possible. International Coastal Cleanup was in September. On the 18th, we had 554 volunteers and collected 6,920 pounds of trash. November, for America Recycles Day, we partnered with Winn-Dixie for a bag bring back. This encouraged residents to bring back their plastic bags and provided them with reusable grocery bags in return. We distributed about 200 of those bags. December 4th, we held our 4th river cleanup. We had 21 volunteers that went on kayaks in the Wakulla and the Sockchoppy River. As with the coastal cleanup this year, we had much less trash than usual, which could be a good thing, and we collected about 250 pounds. Our tire amnesty day that we just had this past weekend, we collected 442 tires and serviced 102 vehicles. And our next upcoming event will be the forest cleanup on February 26th. And that is all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is the February 26th, you said?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
It says the 27th on your handout.
Does it? Okay, what's the Saturday? 26.
Randy, that was probably from last year. 27th was.
It does, it says 2021, you're right. Very astute of you.
Alrighty, thank you very much, team. And now we're going to move into Arbor Day.
Good evening, Commissioners, and everyone who's watching from home this evening. It's that time of year again. Arbor Day is upon us, or shortly. I'd like to invite everyone to Hudson Park this coming Saturday, which is January the 22nd, for our drive-through free tree giveaway that's going to begin at 10 a.m. We're going to celebrate Florida Arbor Day by giving away more than 700 trees this year. And each vehicle that comes to Hudson Park will drive away with 2 native trees. We're offering 9 different kinds of trees this year. To choose the perfect tree, you can go to Otter Lake, the picnic area there tomorrow, which is Wednesday, at 10 a.m. for our Meet the Arbor Day Trees event. The Wakulla County Garden Club will show sample trees and provide information about which trees require which conditions to thrive. If you can't make it to Otter Lake, you can learn about your tree choices online by going to crawfordvillearborday.weebly.com. That's Crawfordville Arbor Day, all one word, .weebly, WEEBLY.com. And lastly, we're going to have tree advisors at the giveaway, and they'll be able to help our guests make the best choices. Now, I brought some with me. This is one of my most favorite. This one is Walter's Viburnum. I bought one of these little fellows 3 years ago. It is considerably taller than I am at the moment. It has lovely white flowers at the same time. And it being a native, couldn't be happier with almost no care whatsoever. This little fellow is wax myrtle. And for those of you who have them, you know that every conceivable bird will be more than happy to come and dine on the wax myrtle. We've got live oak. Now, I'm a Yankee, and I didn't know live oaks. And I have been suitably dazzled by the live oaks. As a matter of fact, my husband and I planted 2 of them, and I invite you to come by in about 250 years. They'll be perfect. They'll be absolutely perfect. This one, another kind of oak, this is a turkey oak. And I think you, Chuck, has told me that turkey oak makes great firewood. Not that I'm suggesting you should cut down your Arbor Day native.
Chuck hates...
Just a thought.
Nothing.
And then this baby is arrowwood. And you can see, even in the winter, its foliage is wonderfully ornamental. Very pretty tree. So, once you've selected your tree, we'll provide information on how to plant it properly and make sure it gets off to a good start, because we want everyone who walks home with their native plant to be able to enjoy it for years, maybe generations to come. Shameless promotion. Flyers for one and all. There you go.
Is Miss Arts going to be there this year?
Absolutely.
Then Miss Arts loved that. Thank you.
She does such a good job. She really does.
I got one. Thank you.
So that's it. Be sure to come by. Would anyone like a flyer?
Kelly wants one.
Kelly,
Betsy.
I think Kelly's gonna steal one of your plants there now.
Is this just for Wakulla County residents, or anyone can come? Okay.
Particularly now that, the climate is becoming more problematic, the more we can teach people about the benefits of native plants. These circumstances, the better off we'll all be, as will the pollinators and all the things. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty, we're going to move on to consent.
Consent?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No consent items pulled for discussion. We're going to move on into general business. Number 9, Michelle or David?
I'll take it.
David? Okay, sorry.
Michelle will get the next one.
Thank you.
Request board approval of the updated list of supported projects for the Triumph Golf funding, and approval of the transmittal letter to Triumph Gulf Coast. This keeps our projects, emergency communication system is the number 1 priority. Project GameStop is number 2, and we'll be adding in the $23 million ask for the Wakulla County School District in cooperation with the Franklin Career and Technical Education Collaboration.
Motion to approve.
Second.
So just for a question, because we're partnering with Franklin, we're using some of this money's going to come from their pot?
I don't know how that's going to work, to be honest with you. I don't know how they're going to split all this up.
There is a pot for regional projects.
There is a pot for regional projects, so they'll probably be split between the two somehow, within Triumph.
I wouldn't think it would take away from our personal pot. Right.
That's
This
what
is a
they
regional
encourage.
pot.
That's right.
They encourage that.
They encourage that, that's right.
And the project GameStop is just some unknown entity that, kind of like what...
We have a potential for, that's right, potential for a business venture, yes.
Not Amazon.
I can say, but it's not.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second?
Yes, second. Citizens.
Motion to approve.
I already made it, Chuck.
Okay.
Do we have any citizens that'd like to speak on this? None? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. We're going to move into public hearings. Did you get any cards in that 1 second? Okay.
I got it. Yes, Mr. Chairman, Ms. Chair, request board approval to conduct the public hearing and approve purchase and sale agreement of the acquisition of lots 19 and 20 in Silver Glen subdivision for the potential use as a recreational park, rest area, and parking for the Ochlockonee Bay Bike Trail and parking area for Rojo Boat Ramp on Ochlockonee Bay.
Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor? I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. We're going to move into planning and zoning at this time.
Okay, scrolling, give me 1 second. Okay, the first planning and zoning item is a change of zoning application R2122. This is, an applicant is New Life Ministries of Crawfordville, and they're requesting approval for change of zoning from RR1 to CO on a about 3-acre parcel of land located at 158 Aaron Road. In accordance with section 24.01 of the county code, each commission member needs to disclose any contacts you may have received regarding this application.
Anytime's mother called me.
Was she in favor of it or against it?
Cynthia McDonald, same, and a couple other people.
All opposed?
I have emails that are forwarded to the board, all opposed.
I have a lot of emails to oppose, spoken to the applicant.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information regarding this application, please stand up to be sworn. Please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Yes, as Heather indicated, this is a request for rezoning from RR1 to CO, commercial office space, located at 158 Aaron Road. On January 10th, the Planning Commission reviewed this request and recommended 3-2 for denial, noting concerns with compatibility and spot zoning. This property is located within the urban fringe land use, which does require new commercial rezonings to be located within a quarter mile of a major intersection. This property exists approximately 3/4 of a mile from a qualifying intersection. Should the board choose to approve this rezoning, they are required to make a finding that the proposed rezoning is compatible with the existing character of the surrounding area, and that existing residentially zoned properties will not be negatively impacted by the proposed rezoning. This property currently operates as the Summit Life Church. The Wakulla County School Board offices are located across the street from this property, however, are currently zoned agriculture, and the majority of the surrounding properties are zoned residential currently. There are 2 commercial zonings located in close proximity, approximately a quarter of a mile down the road. One is currently operating as a dance studio and was previously the Crawfordville Post Office. Under the Crawfordville Town Plan, this area is conceptually designated for low-density residential. Staff is recommending option 3
What's option 3?
for direction.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion. Need a second for discussion?
I'll second.
Second for discussion? Justice, is that correct? I have Mr. David Donaldson.
First-time speaker, so got to give me a break here. I'm David Donaldson. My wife Brenda and I live at 191 Duncan Drive in Forest. We have lived in our residence for nearly 15 years. We're appreciative to see our home values increase a little each month and hope this will continue into the future. However, if or should the properties, i.e. the church property or any other properties, across the street from Audubon Forest become identified or coded as commercial instead of residential, the property values in Audubon Forest are sure to come down and decrease substantially over time. In addition, the increased traffic, also increased noise, may be a problem. Those who live in Audubon Forest would be grateful in your positions to understand our position in this important subject, and thank you for your time in this important matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. Edwin Tyler Senior.
Good afternoon, I'm Ed Tyler. I live at 190 Aaron Road, which is the area of the property right adjacent to the property and have been being considered for rezoning. The bottom line is, we've lived there for 20 years. I plan to die there, hopefully not recent. But, this is a home area. It's just to say not something that's commercial. The one thing we noticed was that in looking at this intersection is 3/4 of a mile away from where it's supposed to be if it's within that distance. Additionally, in looking around, there's nothing but homes around there, with the exception of, as noted, which is the school systems. But it only affects the one person positively. I don't see how it can affect the rest of us in a positive manner. It's going to bring in more traffic, going to change the structure of the properties around there. So if we're going to have our zoning boards and our zoning set up so that we can control the county and how it grows, altering it every time somebody jumps up and says, I want to do it, it really doesn't look to me like the way you want to do it. So let's continue with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed Tyler Jr.
Good to see you. Well, they beat me to a lot of this, and obviously the zoning is not consistent with the area. And it was brought up by one of the planning board members in the 10th, I think it was, of the school across the street. The issue is that school's been there since, the 30s, sometime in the 30s, maybe earlier. So they were existing, they were already there. And also, as another board member brought up, you normally will have schools, churches, which that property is conditional use as a church at this point, which we're not opposed to, obviously. But that's normal for residential areas, in fringe of residential areas, family. And I'm sorry, they beat me other things. The location, as Ms. Summer mentioned, the 3/4 mile versus a 1/4 mile from an intersection, traffic issues. I'm concerned there's going to be a domino effect. Obviously, this happens, it goes commercial, within surrounding people go, well, I'm out of here. I don't want to have this office space. They start selling pieces, and next thing you know, it's kind of eroded into a commercial area. And lastly, again, the only person benefiting from this is the property owner. There's plenty of commercial property all up in 319. There's vacant land, undeveloped. There's office spaces and storefronts that are vacant now. If there was no commercial property, it'd be a different story. But there's plenty in the area. Go down Martin Luther King, go out 61, obviously 319 between here and Bloxham. There's plenty. So there's no need for any further commercial, especially in this area. I mean, it's got a lot of negatives to it. So everybody said it. Sorry.
Thank you.
Can I ask some more question? Was that everybody?
That was it.
What's the future land use designation of this?
Urban fringe.
And is commercial office an allowed use in that land use
That
change?
zoning district is an allowable use within the urban fringe land use.
So we need to find, according to our own standards, we need to find a compelling reason. Of course, the distance could be one of them. A reason not to vote for it, right? Basically.
Compatibility and spot zoning are also qualifying.
And I'll just tell you what my thinking is. I'm not going to fall on my sword over this one. I measured the distance between the courthouse light going down MLK to that title company, which is Petrick Park, I think, and that subdivision's commercial subdivision, goes all the way to Jasper Thomas. It's roughly the same distance as it is to that one. It's within a couple hundred feet. The distance from the stoplight, that way to that way. And again, the school's right across the road from it. I just rode down there before the meeting. If you go past it, there's a big Duke Energy facility down there. It's just a power transfer station. There's some B&B Duggars down there in the commercial. And if this was C2, I don't think I would support it, but it's CO, it's commercial office. And to me, it'd be something similar to what's on MLK there. And I don't think it's that compatible with the neighborhood. In fact, I mean, if we're only gonna have growth north and south, then 319 is gonna be a strip mall. And I've said this for years, we gotta start going east and west. I'll leave it at that. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
So what would it take, if we approve this, what would it take? It would just come forward as my problem is that if we approve this, it's spot zoning, but it's for a CO, which is not as big an issue, but what would it take to take it to C2? It would just take and at that point, you've lost the ability to argue against it as spot zoning, I would think. Is that correct?
I think it's a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, that's a factual question. I mean, it would be easier to move. I mean, you do have commercial creep potentially, but I don't think necessarily having your own parcel BCO makes it automatic that you would get to change it to C2. But you do, as you noted, have some potential compatibility issues with this request.
They would have to have it rezoned again to go to C2.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, but it would already be commercial, so it'd be much,
Some form of commercial office, yes,
it
you're
would be much easier to get the change to the C2 as opposed to a CO.
I mean, I guess they could argue if when they came next time, to say, look, it's already commercial office, all we want to do is go to C2, but I don't think anybody wants to see any sort of convenience store or, whatever out there, but in office, I don't necessarily have that much grief. We're doing it all over downtown Crawfordville, converting houses to offices all over the place.
I don't think it's conducive for the area. I'm not for it, for the zone change. I mean, I understand the school's been there, but it's been there for a long time. You talk about Duggars, and you talk about the power, that's a lot further distance than what it is down there, so.
Yeah, it's a lot further that way.
So further that way. And it's been there way before the church was even there. So I'm not for it.
Understand?
James, did you want to get up and say anything?
He hasn't been sworn, Heather. He didn't swear.
To be sworn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm James Salt, I'm the pastor.
First of all, I live on Covington Circle. I've been there almost 13 years, so I'm a resident here as well. When we started this venture, basically COVID impacted our church, where financially our insurance, it's gotten bad, so the board made a decision. We need to eliminate, so we've rented a room over at the community center on Tuesday nights. A part of our group is over there, and so we just had to make some adjustments. Number one, nobody's benefiting from this. The ministry is owned, it's a ministry, it's got a board, and part of the directive of doing this is we've got missionaries that we're supporting. Anyway, this money's, whatever we get is already allocated. Number two, it's not 3/4 of a mile from the intersection. It's actually 4/10 of a mile, a little more than 1/10 of a mile past the dance studio. So when the board talked about this, we looked for compatibility, and we started out, we were told C2. On that first meeting, I knew instantly there was a complete misunderstanding of what we were requesting and the guidance that we were given. We're looking for something for like schools, doctor office, dentist, funeral home, something that does benefit the community. And that's what we're trying to do. Not get rich, nobody benefiting. I even got up and said, I don't want C2, I live here. It does not need a convenience store, liquor store, anything like that. That's not what we're looking for. We're just looking for professional office, school, daycare. Just something to benefit this area. That's it.
We have a whole list of people objecting to this for compatibility that live in Audubon Forest.
Yeah,
That was your original proposal. Did you get any clearance from them?
Yeah, actually,
Their second proposal?
Yeah, actually, yes, and actually, Mr. Bradley, the head of it, he was very appreciative, sent an email, said there's a better understanding. I'm assuming the first gentleman lived in Audubon. I'm not sure. He said there may be one person, I'm assuming, that was unsure because they were afraid about what it could do future, like go from CO to a C2. I'm not a legal expert, I don't know, but Keith Key is the only individual that touches our property. And actually, part of us going down this because he was interested in buying it himself for his heating and air business. But I haven't had any communication about this since this proceedings have been going on. So, that's all I got to say about that. I don't know what else, unless you got some questions.
Any questions? Nope. We got a motion and a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Did you get that? Yep. All righty, we're going to move on to number 12, please.
Okay, give me 1 second. Number 12 is an application for change of zoning R2125. The applicant, Brian English, is seeking approval for a change of zoning from RR5 to C2 and RR2 on a 4.69 acre portion of a parcel of land that's located at 139 Council Moore Road. In accordance with the county code, each commission member needs to disclose any contact you may have received regarding this application.
None.
None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information on this application, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes, this request is to rezone 4.69 acres total to C2 and RR2. The C2 portion of this request contains 1.51 acres, and the RR2 portion of this request contains a total of 3.18 acres. On January 10th, the Planning Commission voted 5-1 to recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
I would also recommend, given the distance from intersections, that if the board decides to approve this change of zoning request, that they make the findings that nearby residentially zoned parcels will not be negatively impacted, and that this proposed rezoning is compatible with the area.
Include that in my motion.
And I'll second.
How far is this from the highway? Council Moore's a collector road, so it's on a collector road.
That's correct, but it's not at the intersection, and it is just, actually, Council Moore, I don't think is a qualifying intersection.
Okay.
But the next closest would be Harvey Mill, and so it is just under half a mile from that intersection driving distance, but less than a quarter of a mile as the crow flies. As the crow flies. You like that, don't you?
Thank you very much. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Did you, Commissioner Kemp, seconded? Does anyone here like to speak on this, Wade Brown? Okay.
Very similar to the last item, I'm going to say, but go ahead.
Very similar to the last item. If we turn the last one down, we have to turn this one down. That's my opinion on that.
I'm voting for this one too. At least I'm consistent.
We're both consistent.
Yeah, that's true.
Summer, what is the difference between this one and the last item without going down the broad scope of things?
In a nutshell, there is actually commercial immediately adjacent across the street from this parcel, and part of this parcel is already zoned C2 commercial.
I'm not going to beat this to death, but I'm going to vote for this one, but I think the last one was much more suited for commercial office. I think the last one was much more suited for what they were asking for than this one. I'm still going to vote for it. But this is off Council Moore Road in an almost agricultural area, I guess you'd say. But anyway, Enough of my high
No, but
horse.
everything around it's already, and the part of it's already commercial, and everything around it's commercial. You got the TCC building, you got Gulf Coast Lumber, if you go right there, it's property, what, 100 yards?
They're on the other side of Council Moore, right? They're on the other side of Council Moore.
But it's what, 100 yards through there?
Well, it's kind of like that church is right across the road from the school offices. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, but there were a lot of issues when we did the C2 on the parcel inside of Council Moore, and we ended up doing it because it was adjacent and inside that line. But now we're moving outside that line into the residential area of that road, and it just seems...
Again, I'm going to vote for it. I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Anything to say? Okay. Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed?
We're both consistent, Chuck.
Tonight.
Yes.
And we're going to move right into number 13, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is change of zoning R2126. This is an approval, requesting approval for a change of zoning from CO to HIC on 3 parcels about...
Motion to approve.
Okay, there you go.
Okay. Chuck, they didn't have it from me, I'm sorry, I'll second it.
Okay. Are there any ex parte communications?
No, why did you get on Chuck for not making a motion before you asked that? No.
Yes. Against.
Okay.
I haven't received anything on it, but to me... Wait till we...
Chuck, can you let her explain, please, where this is at?
Yes.
She does it to me every time.
This is about 4.88 acres of land located at 3, 5, and 7 High Drive.
Which is right downtown across the courthouse.
Yes.
Right across from the courthouse.
Is there anyone here who's going to provide any information on this application? Please stand up to be sworn. Please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
And I just thought about something. I talked to the realtor about this a few months ago, but it was about the property where the Morsens owns and all that, and I think that's what I originally called David about, so.
This piece is behind the old florist shop, right?
Correct.
Yep, it's right there behind it.
And this is the old attorney's office, what's his name, Glazer? Stephen
Been a
Glazer?
couple of attorneys in and out of those buildings over the years.
And who was the second from?
No, Randy was the second.
Randy was second.
Randy.
No, he was second, I'm sorry.
Mike? You done?
Yep.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Do you have anything you'd like to say? And do we
I
have
do, but I
speak?
want to have hear the citizens first.
That's what, okay.
You're the applicant. To me, this is downtown Crawfordville. This is where we want to encourage economic development and economic activity. So this is perfect for what is being requested, and so I'm happy to approve.
All righty. Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Moving on to number 14.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is an application for change of zoning R2127. This is requesting approval for a change of zoning from Ag and RR1 to RR1 on about a 14.5 acre parcel of land located at Kathy Ann Drive and the east side of Fulton Harvey Road. If you have any, none?
None.
None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information regarding this application, please stand up to be sworn. You're still sworn.
Yes, this request to rezone is on 14.5 acres located on Kathy Ann Drive on the east side of Fulton Harvey Road. Currently, the property is partially zoned agriculture and partially zoned RR1. This request is to rezone the entire parcel to RR1.
Motion to approve.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any citizens? Wade, just here for questions? You have any
Wade,
questions?
I can vote for this if you're going to put high performance-based tanks out there, not the deep hole, the
Passive.
passive systems. It doesn't cost you that much more. It's reasonably priced.
He's not paying for it.
No,
I don't.
we're talking about, what we're planning on doing is basically making 3-4+ acre tracts out of this tract.
Oh, you're not going for the 14 1-acre lot?
Trying to go for, no.
Oh, yeah.
So you're definitely voting yes, correct?
Yeah, but
Okay, good. You have a motion and a second?
But if you're being consistent, you have to vote on the merits of the issue, but anyway, go ahead.
well,
Second.
what he can do and what he's going to do is I'm taking him his word, he's going to do 4
Wade's very trustworthy.
large parcels. So,
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Passes unanimously. Number 15.
This is an application for change of zoning, R2129. This is requesting approval for a change of zoning from Ag to RR2 on a 4-acre parcel of land located at 56 Chevy Trail.
None.
If there's anyone who's going to provide any information, please stand up to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yes, this request to rezone from agriculture to RR2 is a 4-acre tract located at 56 Chevy Trail. This is just north of Bloxham Cutoff in the Wakulla Station area. Planning Commission last week voted unanimously to recommend approval.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Is this an existing 4-acre parcel?
This is-
Straightening the zoning out on it?
That's correct, and this will accommodate a second unit for a family member on the property.
Instead of doing
Family.
enclave.
well, when they allow a mobile home to be moved in, and what is that hardship?
That is a family enclave that's changed to an RV on a temporary basis, but this will allow a permanent setup of a second dwelling there.
Much better.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. You and I?
Aye.
Okay, that's okay. All righty, let's see, that was 15. We're going to move into 16.
And the zoning show is done for tonight. This is an application for final plat FP 2113. This is requesting approval of a final plat for a 48-lot residential subdivision to be known as Summerfield Phase 1. If you have any ex parte communications, please provide them for the record.
None.
None.
If there's anyone here who's going to provide any information, please stand up to be sworn. No applicant? Okay, you're sworn.
You're very confident?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank
Motion
you.
to approve. Final plat.
I got that.
I thought she was going to explain it in a second, but go ahead. I was going to let her say it. Go ahead.
I'll be very brief. This is a 48-lot residential subdivision on the east side of the newly realigned Cager-Posey Road. This is a request for approval of the final plat. All infrastructure, with the exception of sidewalks, is installed and has been approved by staff. This is also a request for the board to accept the 2-year maintenance bond and maintenance agreement, as well as the performance bond for the construction of the sidewalk.
Is this one of those cases where the new sidewalk bonding requirement we set up will
Yes.
kick in?
Yes.
And are we still having problems with the post office still about getting the mail service in these new subdivisions?
Yes and no.
Okay. But this, they won't,
Some are better. Some are still getting the kinks worked out, as I...
as far as the sidewalks go, they'll build them as they build the lots.
That's correct. And this bond will be good for 5 years, so at the end of 5 years, if they're not done, then the developer will have to put them in, or we'll call on the bond and do it ourselves.
Excellent. And it used to be they had to have them done within, 2 years or a year?
There's a whim, I thought.
There was a 30% occupancy requirement, was the cap on their performance bond, and that's been removed.
And just, and I don't want to,
No, we're so
beat this
happy you're talking.
to death, but, if we hadn't had that rule, did this sidewalk rule apply in Palmetto, for example, or Chadwick?
Those were installed prior to final plat approval in those 2 instances.
I wonder if they're having problems with them getting destroyed by concrete trucks.
We'll make them fix them, it's okay.
But it's much easier.
They're covered by the maintenance bond, so if they get torn up, I'm gonna go back to them.
My point was the whole reason for changing that, so they wouldn't have to fix them, they put them in after the house is built.
I know.
I'm just
Super
explaining it.
thrilled.
Good.
So, this development is inside the town plan, correct?
Yes.
So, unlike the ones adjacent to it, which I opposed, this one's inside the town plan, so I have to support it.
Even though this is just a final plan.
I still vote against them if I didn't agree with them, I'm gonna always vote against it.
Gotcha. Well, do last meeting when I wasn't here.
Apparently.
Or out within 30 minutes, right?
I wasn't here either.
So do I have a motion?
Already made it.
Yep, do you have a second?
Second.
All right, let's call the vote. All in favor? Aye. Moving on to 18.
Yes, this is a request for approval to transmit an application for comprehensive plan map amendment, CP 2104, and the associated text amendment to the future land use element, creating a special area plan specific to this property. This map amendment request is from Rule 2 to Rule 3 for property located on the west side of Crawfordville Highway, just south of Edgewood Drive. This property is just shy of 45 acres total. The Planning Commission considered this request last week, January 10th, and voted 5-1 to recommend approval. If this amendment is approved, it will allow a maximum density of 44 units. Currently, the property is zoned agriculture and located within FEMA flood zone designation of X, and the site is currently used for timberland.
Where's the access?
This access point is from Crawfordville Highway, but it also fronts on Wooden Lake Road.
I just didn't see where it went out to Crawfordville Highway.
There is a portion of both of these parcels subject to the application that is currently zoned commercial that are part of the same ownership, but not part of tonight's application request.
And again, tell us why it was done as a SAP, special area plan.
The land use designation of Rule 3, which the applicants have requested, does require a special area plan to be a component of any request to the Rule 3 land use.
We don't have a 1 unit per 1 acre dedicated land use, future land use category, is that right?
This particular land use category does allow for 1 unit per acre with sewer and water
You
connection.
gotta do an SAP every time we do
You
it.
have to do an SAP every time. The board previously gave staff direction. At our last meeting, the board gave staff approval to schedule and advertise. We do anticipate that coming back before you guys for a text amendment to make those modifications to the comp plan in the future. So that's
They want
what's
to do
coming
an
forward.
SAP every time.
So long as that gets approved when it comes back to you guys, then that will be the case.
Motion approved, and this is already consistent with what's in the area as it is now.
That's correct.
Second.
Any discussion?
Well, I don't have any problem with this development. It's consistent with what's in the area. It's going to be on sewer. The only thing I have problems is our rate of growth and how fast we're growing. And it comes down to I start looking at the school board's notes, and they keep wanting to say that school board makes their own decisions, but I have to look at the numbers they're giving me. And I found this interesting is that this one takes the high school to 75 students over capacity. Well, if I go back to January 4th, 2021, we did a thing, and it was for a comp plan amendment, and it was 218 students over capacity.
Lost students.
Well, they lost 60 students in enrollment. Doesn't explain, and then you add on these. I'm not seeing the numbers work out as far as the school goes as our capacity. In 2020, we were at 200 students over capacity. In 2021, we were 218 students over capacity, and now we're down to 75 students over capacity. I don't, they tell me, loss of enrollment. Well, the enrollment numbers are here, and you lost 60 students. I don't understand where the rest of them went. I think we're moving too fast. We need to settle out and see what happens to all the developments that Mr. Parrish is building as we're moving forward, and see where we're going to be before we keep adding more developments to the system, even though I do like this development. So,
That's being consistent. That's being consistent. Now, I understand they're planning a new high school across
if we get the money from Gulf Triumph, this problem goes away.
Well, I mean, Gulf Triumph isn't gonna fund a high school.
No, but they're going to fund
The
it.
way they will fund a high school is if we're at capacity at the existing school.
If we are over.
And using, it's kind of catch-22, or as Quincy would say, a paradox anomaly, that you have to be over.
My numbers here, I was way over capacity, and now I'm not way over capacity, and I have no confidence in those numbers. I can tell you
Kind
that,
of like the census, right?
well, no, but
We only grew 1,500 people in 10 years, is what the census said.
I had trouble with that.
And 1,200 were inmates.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they said you had to be at capacity more than 3 years, is that correct?
You have to be
I'm sorry, over capacity for 3 years before, so.
Well, we've been over capacity, we have to be so much over capacity, it's, 25% over capacity, I think.
And I think they said that's a school board issue. Yeah. And I know they're talking about the high schools like.
And that's why I just, I'm not comfortable voting for things when we're, I'm not comfortable with the numbers I'm being given.
When I was a kid, we didn't have a middle school, so, things change.
Yep. So, that's my objection on
Would you
that.
like to say anything on your magic card?
No.
You good? Okay.
Questions from me?
All right, motion is second, all in favor? Aye.
I would like to ask Wade, do you think it's going to be gravity sewer or a local sewer?
You said no.
No.
You know?
How you get that?
What was that?
3-1.
We should be doing a gravity.
Commissioner, agenda items. Rick, start.
Sorry, Madam Chair. I have just one more item tonight, is a request for the board to conduct the final public hearing and adopt an ordinance amending the comprehensive plan, both the public schools facility element and the capital improvements element. This is our annual update as required by Florida statute to both of these elements in our comp plan. With relating to the school board, this merely updates their work facilities plan, the date of adoption for that in both of these elements, as well as updating our 5-year schedule of capital improvements. As you'll see in this ordinance, we've done an overhaul to this schedule of improvements and picked quite a few projects from our adopted infrastructure plan that we've incorporated. And the DOT 5-year work plan, which we ordinarily do, but now we've created a more robust list of capital improvements that we're anticipating tackling over the next 5 years.
A lot more.
Well, we are, and it will help support our grant funding efforts as well by having these projects.
That's like the infrastructure plan I supported so long ago.
Yes.
David?
Summer, would you like to finish anything?
That's all I have for this evening.
I have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
And this updates the school board.
4-0.
School board's part. Going back to Chuck's concerns, this is their plan for going forward.
Nothing in here for the school board, though.
It says there, like, the level of service is 100% fish capacity. They mention a lot of level of service stuff.
Yeah, but there's no, on the 5-year capital outlay, there's no school board projects
You mean on ours?
on
There's
this.
some map, Wakulla County 5 years district facilities plan I'm looking at right here.
Yeah.
They annually update their work plan as well, and that's what this reference is
Doesn't include the high
to
school.
adopt the adoption
Not
date
included.
of
Does
it.
not include new high school.
No, it does not.
Doesn't include anything being built.
Okay. Going to move on into commissioner agenda items, starting with Commissioner Merritt.
We're going to skip over the attorney and the county administrator.
We don't have any commissioner agenda items. I was seeing if you were paying attention. County attorney? Nothing this evening. County administrator?
Yes, deconstruction of the Woolly Park pier has started, and then construction will start back once this, all the deconstruction, that started this week, so.
Are they using that flow-through grading on the? Okay.
Yes. Joe, in fact, Hydra's doing that for us, and they're brought some good ideas, and we'll be utilizing those, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks, the Maxi Sands will start as well. So So we'll have both of those piers up and running here
Wonderful.
shortly. Other than that, that's it.
Jess, any more citizens to be heard? None? Now, discussion issues by commissioners.
I want everybody to, Heather, request to acknowledge I gave her the parking key fob for underneath the city hall, so I don't want anybody accusing me of keeping it.
Does it have a vet key on it, or just to get under the building?
Anybody can use it, but they're on camera, so be careful.
That was important. Commissioner Kemp, do you have anything to add?
No,
No, ma'am. Commissioner Hess? It's good.
Motion to adjourn.
That wasn't too bad.
What?
Pretty longer than an hour.
Why?
Rezoning.